Welcome back to Pop Dissected. Today, we're going to be talking about Ariana Grande's back-to-back record cycles, Sweetener and Thank You Next. These two record cycles followed each other within just 6 months, pushing Ariana to a new height of stardom and success. However, we're going to be discussing just what made these back-to-back releases so successful. How did Ariana do it? What factors were involved? And additionally, is the potential strategy used sustainable? Before the release of Sweetener on August 17, 2018, Ariana had already released 3 records from 2013 to 2016, Yours Truly, My Everything, and Dangerous Woman. Yours Truly and My Everything both soared to the top of the Billboard 200 with 138,000 copies and 169,000 copies in their first week, respectively. Despite debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200, Dangerous Woman pulled in 175,000 units, with 129,000 of those units being from pure sales. So it's no secret, Ariana Grande improved her copies and units of her records with each release she put out. But what exactly led to Ariana getting to where she is today? Ariana Grande co-starred on the Nickelodeon show Victorious, and arguably became a fan favorite. Her role on Victorious allowed her to easily become a teen idol and amass a fan base, even before her music career had begun. Following the spin-off series of Victorious, Sam and Cat, Ariana Grande would carry over her viewers from Victorious, while simultaneously beginning promotion for her debut record, Yours Truly. This is our first instance of Ariana showcasing her abilities, which is the intended cross-promotion. Already having a fan base from one series, then releasing a debut record while also starring in a spin-off series allowed Ariana to channel viewers from her show into her music, and listeners of her music into her show. Though Ariana's debut bubblegum pop single, Put Your Hearts Up, was released in 2011, she stated it wasn't the sound she wanted to channel. And I have a hunch, if she had pursued with that sound, she wouldn't have found much success, especially in the early 2010s. Yours Truly incorporated a retro 90s pop and R&B sound. This is in significant contrast to other female pop stars' records of 2013. Ariana's debut wasn't exactly marked by catering primarily to a modern landscape of pop or going full-out experimental with her work. Ariana's retro emphasis allowed her to stand out amongst other records that released after her own. Yours Truly spawned the top 10 hit The Way, which introduced Ariana officially into the industry and surely made people keep an eye on her. The later singles, Baby I and Right There, wouldn't crack the top 10, but were positively received, with the latter being noted for Ariana showcasing her vocal range. Her holiday EP, Christmas Kisses, wouldn't chart on the Billboard 200, but with it releasing 4 months following Yours Truly, it was an important EP to keep Ariana's name in the forefront. My Everything followed just a year after Yours Truly, spawning her biggest hits for the time. Problem, Break Free, Bang Bang, included on the deluxe version of her record, and Love Me Harder. All these tracks managed to break into the top 10 of the Hot 100, with the final single, One Last Time, reaching a peak of 13. My Everything wouldn't significantly depart from the sound of Yours Truly. It dropped more of the 50s doo-wop sound seen in Yours Truly, favoring EDM, jazz, and hip-hop influences. Ariana's singles from this era were notably more pop, which I think allowed her to cater to a broader audience. Also notable is each single is a collaboration with another artist, thus proving a higher engagement towards the tracks. So far, we have Ariana carrying over a cross-media fanbase, starting off with a fresh sound before broadening her scope of genre, bringing in a number of notable collaborators, and releasing 3 efforts in a year's time. It's at this point, Ariana's name was solidified on the map of pop music. She had become a pop princess, and in just a matter of a year in her debut into the industry. So far, Ariana's success is hallmarked by her ability to work well with others, consistently put out music, and blend a popular sound with her own style. But this is frankly just the beginning. Just 8 months after the release of the final single off My Everything, One Last Time, Ariana released the first single off Dangerous Woman, Focus, which released after Ariana wrapped up her supporting tour for My Everything, the Honeymoon Tour. Now, some see Focus as the lead single, others don't, as it's a Japanese exclusive, them seeing the title track as the lead. But I digress. Ariana would go on to release 4 more singles off Dangerous Woman. The title track and Side to Side peaked within the top 10 of the Hot 100. Into You peaked at 13, and Every Day peaked at 55, giving Ariana her lowest charting single off a mainline studio record since Yours Truly's Right There. Dangerous Woman, once more, would continue on the sound of My Everything, albeit with a more mature edge to it. However, at this point, Ariana was capitalizing on a structure and a formula that worked. And that isn't to say she wasn't trying or working hard. Far from it, but she found a sound and style that was effective and marketable. But soon we'll uncover abandoning that style is what heavily helped propel her higher up as a pop star. Following the May 22, 2017 Manchester bombing on her Dangerous Woman tour, Ariana would suspend her tour briefly. The tour would resume after the One Love Manchester benefit concert held on June 4, 2017, which raised over £17 million, equivalent to around $22 million US. This is a significant moment in Ariana's career, and a shift as well. With the intent of the benefit concert, Ariana and a number of other celebrities took something tragic and created an event of hope and resilience. Now, this is not me crediting the tragedy towards any success of Ariana's, but I believe her selfless efforts and message of unity was able to really help her have support rally behind her. And it's a pivotal moment in her career, not only showing how an artist can bring people together in times of adversary, but show how hate and violence will never win. But now we're at Sweetener, which brings into play another key factor to Ariana Grande's success, her utilization of social media. Now I saved this point for this part of the video because from what I can personally recall, I felt this was the time where Ariana Grande was most engaging on social media in regards to her music. I won't go too in depth about this as it's pretty cut and dry, but Ariana's consistent communication with fans and followers alike on all her social media platforms creates constant engagement, and that constant engagement allows her to consistently remain relevant and in the public eye. Now, though not directly about the terrorist attack in Manchester, the lead single and first written off Sweetener, No Tears Left to Cry, is influenced by the tragedy, where Ariana sings about carrying on, and instead of dwelling on the sadness, there is hope and rejoicing in continuing on. Not only is this message outstandingly poignant, but it also served as a triumphant comeback of sorts, following the tragedy she and so many others had endured. And I'm sure Ariana had a forethought. No Tears Left to Cry would be an anthem to those to triumph and not let their own sadness conquer them. But from No Tears Left to Cry, we can already see the sonic expansion into other influences, such as disco and dance pop and dance R&B. While still retaining an echo of her previous efforts, No Tears Left to Cry set the stage for a complete shift in Ariana's sonic discography. No Tears Left to Cry released April 20th of 2018, debuting at number 3 on the Hot 100 with 100,000 downloads, her highest position on the chart since 2014's Bang Bang. The second and third singles, God Is a Woman and Breathin', peaked at number 8 and number 12 respectively on the Hot 100. God Is a Woman was highlighted for Ariana shifting into a very direct message and a mature statement about sexual liberation. The single Breathin' focused on the idea of processing and dealing with one's own anxiety. With these 3 singles off Sweetener, Ariana has been able to evoke a shift in her sound, as well as present timely and relevant subject matter in her music. God Is a Woman focused on influences of reggae and trap pop, with Breathin' primarily following into a pure dance pop genre. With Sweetener having No Tears Left to Cry and God Is a Woman back at prior to its release, the record debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, with 231,000 units, 127,000 being pure sales. The record received critical acclaim and earned Ariana her first Grammy win in 2019 for Best Pop Vocal Album. This record also ended up on 34 year-end lists. Sweetener proved to be at the time her most acclaimed record. Sweetener succeeded not only because of Ariana's social media engagement, her ability to seamlessly traverse genres, capitalize on an established sound, Carry over her fan base from victorious into her music career, her ability to procure perfectly shaped pop hits, and her ability to inspire resilience after a moment of tragedy. She also succeeded because she's in touch with the world. She's able to connect with her audiences and her fans on a human level and deliver how she isn't some untouchable pop star. She's a human, just like you and I. Following the death of her ex-boyfriend Mac Miller and the eventual breaking up with Pete Davidson in 2018, Ariana stated she's taking a break from music. Thus, this cut the Sweetener era short. However, in a time dedicated to healing from the trauma she had faced in the past year, she took solace in making new music. Determined not to abide by the typical rules of pop releases, Ariana released the title track of her 5th record, Thank You Next, with no prior announcement on November 3rd of 2018. The track debuted at number 1 on the Hot 100 with 81,000 downloads, and was universally acclaimed for its message of gratitude, self-love, and new beginnings. Additionally, the music video paying homage to many classic films definitely helped the song as well. 7 Rings would soon follow on January 18th of 2019, also debuting at number 1 on the Hot 100 with 96,000 downloads. Though mixed in its reviews due to its lyrical content, the track did 2 things. It created an instant radio classic anyone could get down to, calling back to the days of Bang Bang and Break Free, but at the same time, shifted Ariana's direction once more into hip-hop territory. Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored served as the record's 3rd and final single, debuting at number 2 on the Hot 100 with 36,000 downloads. With this, Ariana occupied the top 3 of the Hot 100, with all 3 singles off of Thank You Next. Thank You Next would go on to debut on the Billboard 200 at number 1, with 36,000 units, 116 being pure sales, giving Ariana her highest week debut ever. The record received 2 Grammy nominations, and ended up on 35 year-end lists. Oh, by the way, the record also received universal acclaim. So, what is the reason behind all of this? Ariana has enjoyed success her entire career, but her last 2 eras presented an unprecedented success from every era before it. First, let's summarize her sonic transition. Ariana had a solidified sound of pop and R&B with her first 3 records, slowly incorporating other subgenre influences as she progressed. As with her last 2 records, she wasn't presenting us with full-fledged pop records. As we know, the reign of pure pop is vastly over. Ariana has been able to adapt and incorporate more hip-hop, trap, and R&B influences, which catered to the current sonic demographic. Just how she expanded into a more pop sound with My Everything, as that made sense for its time. This speaks to the idea Ariana and her team understand industry trends, and are able to adapt to them quickly in order to maximize the success of her records. Now, her lyrical transition. Following several traumas, Ariana began shifting away from single tracks that prioritized fun. And that's not to say there wasn't any deeper significance with her previous singles. Specifically, tracks off Sweetener primarily showcase Ariana's growing lyrical versatility. She has 7 out of 11 writing credits on Dangerous Woman, and 10 out of 15 on Sweetener. But we can tell Sweetener very much became a record where Ariana was much more involved in the writing process. This is more evident on Thank You Next, where she has writing credits on all 12 standard tracks. What we can gather from this, which goes into my 3rd point, is throughout her career, Ariana slowly has been able to mold her image and intention into what she wants. Now, I'm not saying she was puppeteered in her early work by any means, but with her recent releases, the themes and concepts expressed come directly from Ariana, showcasing an ever-changing artistry focused upon real-world experiences directly evoked from her own pain, happiness, trauma, and life. This is another key point tying into an aforementioned one, Ariana's relatability. In combination with her constant engagement with her fan base, Ariana shifted from this pop idol into someone more attainable, sharing her authentic journey as she progressed throughout her career. And that also ties into her use of social media, using it very personally and honestly. Now, I'll be clear, I'm not giving her any special props. Many, if not all artists, reach a point of relatability and where they become more attainable and not some fixture on a podium. But it is important to note, Ariana went from putting out manufactured hit singles into authentic, relatable content derived from her own mind. And I don't mean manufactured with a negative connotation, simply meaning her previous singles and her earlier work were clearly crafted to be radio hits, and not so much coming from a place of unrestricted bravery and her own personal experiences. Another way Ariana has rallied in her success is with the Sweetener World Tour, which promoted both Sweetener and Thank You Next, allowing her to bring in fans from both of the records. Finally, let's talk about saturation. Ariana released 5 records, a live record, and 2 EPs within 6 years of her career. This type of release structure is a shoo-in to generate success and industry relevancy. But is this sustainable? Absolutely not. There is only so much work an artist can put out before, as a creative, they burn out. Ariana has recently been very vocal about mental health, and I think the scheduling she seems to be on could do more harm than good. Now, I don't follow Ariana Grande very closely, so I would like if someone watching who does could kind of fill me in on her process and if she is taking time for herself, because I don't think the success in the acclaim is worth the risk of running yourself ragged. So I pose a question. Do you think Ariana will get to a point where she'll get exhausted from constant promotion and releasing? Will we still see this trend of saturation? And will this trend of saturation eventually backfire? It's honorable, the amount of work Ariana puts into her career. Now, I think it's really honorable, the amount of work Ariana puts into her career. But as with any artist out there, I hope she isn't pushing herself too hard and takes adequate time to focus on herself, because yourself always comes first. But in conclusion, Ariana has her success because she's been able to generate that from her engagement with fans, rapid releases, radio hits, connection to the real-world issues and her activism, as well as always staying committed to her craft. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more future content on all your favorite pop stars.